Shalom. I'm Minister Dr. Cynthia Marie Whitley, but I'm not your conventional minister. The name of this podcast is Be Aware. Be aware of your thoughts. Each week, we will review self-realization tips using primarily biblical references through storytelling. We will reflect on our thoughts and become aware. This week, I discovered the meaning of 3 words. I thought I was well aware that I knew the meaning. The words are assumption, envy, and jealousy. I've used the words from time immemorial, but without a true understanding of the words. I just assumed I knew the meaning. So beginning with the word assumption, I accepted many things as true without any physical proof. Many times believing that my interpretation of a matter was correct. That assumption meant gathering meaning based on what was seen or putting 2 and 2 together. I know now that assumption is an action verb, and it is something that a person takes for granted to be true. So based on their belief is the only thing that they really are going by. My discovery confirmed that assumptions are based on what someone believes. You can almost call an assumption an opinion. There is a proverb that says, when you assume, you make a, you know what, out of you and the person and the next person. That is usually because when acting on an assumption, the person hasn't taken the time to examine the facts. Gossipers and people who cast judgments are great at assuming. I've also assumed that I knew the meaning of jealousy and envy. I used both words interchangeably, like most people, until I looked up their meaning this week. After 68 years of life, I was prompted to investigate the meanings after having a conversation with someone who had done their research and knew that they had different meanings. I was surprised at what I found. I'm often felt a certain way, envious that is, especially when someone seemed to have money to spend at their discretion that I could not afford. And I've had to pray while trying to release the feelings of discontent I felt. The feelings conjured up both envy and jealousy and affected me negatively. It produces negative traits that are universal when we have jealousy and envy. Envy and jealousy are often presumed or assumed to have the same definition because of a lack of finding out the facts about the words beginning and accepting universal beliefs held by many. The results after experiencing jealousy and envy are often simultaneously as we encounter situations. They happen simultaneously. So there is no wonder there is an overlapping use of the words or an overlapping meaning. Its misuse is as historical as before the Bible was written. In its simplest form, I discovered that jealousy involves the wish to keep what one has, and envy is the wish to get what one does not have, usually something possessed by someone else. We will discover that both words produce strong negative emotions, thus debilitating results, both internally, that's stress, and externally, harmful action, as was the case of Cain, who killed Abel. What did Abel have that Cain wanted? That would have been envy. Or what would Cain have lost that could have been taken away from him? That would have been jealousy. The Bible doesn't answer those questions explicitly, so we are left to assume the answer, which I will not do here. Remember earlier in the talk, We can all assume the why of a situation without knowing the facts. But in all assumptions, it will only be what we believe to be true. As a noun, envy is an emotion that occurs when a person lacks another's quality, skill, achievement, or possession, and either desires it or wishes that the other lacked it. Aristotle defined envy as pain at the sight of another's good fortune, stirred by those who have what we ought to have. Or at least we believe that. To wish you had something that another person has is classified as envy, not jealous, as you will see in a few moments. Envy, number one, produces a feeling of discontent or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. And number two, desire to have a quality, possession, or other desirable attribute belonging to someone else. The experience of the mindful state of envy involves feelings of inferiority, longing resentment of circumstances. Ill will towards an envied person is often accompanied by guilt about these feelings. I experienced envy and lack of love for many persons of great stature, and they never wished me ill. I was always trying to figure out why I didn't like them. I apologize and forgive myself for that ignorance. I experienced guilt, and that is why I prayed for it to be released. In some cases, a motivation to improve occurs. This would have been a positive attribute, but its premise is not genuine, coming from a space of envy, and most likely what was created as a result would not last. Desire to possess the attractive rival's qualities, sadness towards others' accomplishments, and lack of your own. Biblically, I will assume that King Saul was envious and jealous of David because David was valiant, and loved by many. This threatened King Saul's position. His emotions and all of the experiences mentioned above when envious of another dictated King Saul's behavior, which had him attempt to kill David. Bible facts state in 1 Samuel 19 the following. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David, but Jonathan had taken a great liking to David and warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you." ... Now let's examine jealousy. The meaning of jealousy is being aroused when something we already possess is threatened by a third person. When my husband was alive, we both experienced jealousy of each other because we were afraid that we would be taken away from each other. We already had each other, but I was fearful of a woman taking him, and he was fearful of men desiring me. Our jealousy was prompted by fear, false evidence appearing real. Jealousy is enmity, the state of being or the state of feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. Again, prompted by fear. Proverbs 27:4 says, "Anger is cruel, and wrath is like a flood, but jealousy is even more dangerous." The common experience of jealousy for many people may involve wrath, fear of loss, suspicion of anger about a perceived betrayal, low self-esteem and sadness over perceived loss, uncertainty and loneliness, fear of losing an important person to another, distress. In conclusion, I hope you see the distinction that occurred for me this week And the points I want you to take away are, number one, there's no need to be envious of what someone else has. There are enough resources for everyone to be successful. Understanding this can eventually prevent feelings of discontent, resentment, and feelings of inferiority. Number two, be aware of jealous thoughts and trust that what you have been graced with by God will remain in your space. Notice I did not say as your possession, because when it comes to love relationships, we do not own each other. And finally, number three, let's not assume. And if we must assume, gather as many facts as you can before you throw the first stone. Peace. Shalom. Where my tribe at? Where my people at? I've been a storyteller all my life. I love telling stories, but I come now equipped with information, with self-help information from my study of more than 40 years. I have a lot to give and I want to give it to you. So listen to my stories on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, and in my books. Yes, in my books. Come to see where I'm coming from so that you can see how what I have to put forward can benefit you, how it can increase and have you increase in your life. Shalom.